Wait, Zach, is it your birthday or no?
I mean, it can be. Depends on what's.
Is that not why we're doing this?
No. It depends on what celestial plane you're on.
Dude, how many spots did you poke, man?
I swear to God, that's what I canceled all my plans for.
Dude, get out of here.
I can't
miss
miss
out
that
for
for
hoping that we were going to talk about Ted Nugent, dude.
I don't think.
I'm down. If we want to talk about how much we want a Ted Nugent Kid Rock fucking festival lineup, I'm fucking in. Let's do it.
I don't want to talk about that at all.
Can we
Rock,
for the
Pantera
for the first show after quarantine? Can
Trap.
Can we walk out to Ball with the Ball?
I don't know what that is.
Isn't that a Limp Bizkit?
Excuse me?
I know Roland by Limp Bizkit. I swear to God, I thought this was a surprise birthday party for Zach.
Oh, God, I love that shit, dude.
What are we doing then? Just hanging out? That's so cool. I mean, I'm so happy.
That's what we're doing.
I think this is to promote the new member.
Correct.
This is like, he's in, man. This is him. This is everything. Him in the flesh, in the skin.
He sold his soul. He wants to be a part of this. He just joined without even a thought. He's like, I should just be the bass player for Poeta. I was like, you know what? You should. Let's just come to a vote.
You know, George, that you had that like enlightened look on your face when I told you that in my kitchen. You were like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea."
That's fucking hilarious, dude. That's so funny.
I was like,
I can totally see George doing that. Like it clicked in his head. Like you mentioned it, and he's like, "Yeah, yeah." Like,
It could
dude,
work.
like, that definitely happened.
My brain like had all those fucking numerical fucking numbers just sliding over the place. I'm like, how is this not gonna work?
Yeah, you're like fucking Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover when he's counting cards for the first time at the casino.
I mean, I definitely look like him. I just need more of a homeless looking beard.
True, yeah.
And that's just
You
my
had
fucking.
that at one point before you got that job, right?
Yeah. Oh, they made me cut off my beard for it.
George, I thought you got signed by the Yankees.
God, that was my ultimate goal,
That's
honestly.
What are your guys' influences?
Oh no, George is gonna love mine.
This is all about Zach right now. It's not about me.
Oh, can we make it like a almost like an interrogation where you have like 3 cops and a sitting at
That's
a
what I was
table?
saying. That's
You're just-
exactly what I was saying.
Same.
2 of us are, one's just really nice.
Dude. So, well, you know, one of my influences already is Iron Maiden. Since we broke out in that song and dance the other day of just playing "Hallowed Be Thy Name."
We didn't do that. No one likes Iron Maiden here.
That's false. False. Absolutely false. False.
Oh shit.
And Tool. Tool is definitely your number one.
Oh, Tool's my biggest influence for sure, without question. It's not even close.
Really? That's interesting. Are you being serious about that? I kind of walked
Absolutely.
in halfway, so I didn't
Yeah,
know.
Tool's definitely my my favorite band of all time, and yeah, definitely my biggest influence in terms of music.
So how are you and George friends?
George, you want to tell him that, or you want me to tell him that?
I'll tell him
Because
that.
he hates Tool.
Dude, it's not that I hate. It's just all their songs sound the same.
No,
so.
you hate Tool.
You do,
How dare
George.
you? How dare you?
Low.
Wait, how many?
Yeah,
raise your
Zach's
hand if
the
you
band.
like Tool. Raise your hand if you like Tool.
Best band ever.
Oh shit! That's what I'm talking about. That's what.
I'm outnumbered. This is bullshit.
And dude, it's a drummer. Like the drummer's the best musician in the
He
band.
is. He's
That's
one of the
what
greatest of all
Maiden
time.
sing? dude, for years since I've known George, I've been like, you are the drummer. You don't like Tool? He's like, they sound like fucking Nickelback. I'm like, oh yeah.
That's not what I said. That is not what I said. Don't you put those words into my mouth.
You might as well have said that with that earlier comment. You might as well have just said that.
No, that's not.
Just shit on my grave, dude. That's fine. It's all good.
I saw on 4chan one time, some guy was describing Tool.
What a great place to be already.
So a good start. I was on 4chan, and they were just like ripping on Tool. And one guy was like, it's just like if Nickelback played in 5/4 the whole time. And I was like, that's like,
that's false. That's false.
Ridiculous.
That's so false,
like,
man. That's such
it's really funny, dude. It's really funny.
But it's also true in a sense. So
I will say this about Tool: they did make us wait forever for the new album that just kind of like, what was it? Was that album called 10,000 Days, right?
Yeah, 10,000.
No, 10,000. No. 10,000 Days is phenomenal. Fear Inoculum is definitely underwhelming for 17 years of waiting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the one album, pretty much, they're saying like you made us wait 17 years for like a part.
You made us wait 10,000 days was the joke. Yeah. But like, I kind of like. This is what upset me about the new album is like. Of course, I was really excited, like a lot of other people were, but like their single that they came out with was the title track. And like it was good.
It was good.
It was good, but it was like, okay, like there's a lot more that I want from it, especially from waiting that amount of time, because their last album came out in 2006. And then when they released the actual album, I liked a couple of the songs, but like the heaviest song that they kept pushing was that song Tempest. And
Tempest is sick.
It's 15, 16 minutes. That's actually, I didn't really like that one.
So here's my, since we're getting into it. The thing about why 10,000 Days is my favorite is not, it sounds like some of those songs on 10,000 Days can be on the radio. They are like 4 to 5, 6 minute songs to 8 minutes. You know, Rosetta Stone, obviously phenomenal anthology track, but like Fear Inoculum, every song is over 10 minutes long. So you can't just like, I can put on Vicarious and be like, I just want a hard hitting real quick, or like The Pot, I can put it on for real quick. Fear Inoculum, every song you have to get into it. Like you can't just work out to it. You know what I mean? Like you could work out the songs on 10,000 Days, and Fear Inoculum, you have to be like relaxed and get into it. Then it dies and it comes back. You know, every track is like that.
Well, I guess that's the result of waiting 17 years, right? Because you know, you're writing all these songs and you're trying to make them as perfect as possible. So sometimes when you do that, right, like when you're writing an essay, you're adding more as opposed to taking away. You try and spruce it up, right? Because you don't want it to sound, especially them, right? I think I read something where they were saying they didn't want it to sound like their last album. They wanted to top it, and it ended up being that anyway. You know. Well,
and then the other thing that was leaked too is that Danny Carey actually wanted it to be just one album of music and not rudimented out into tracks. He wanted it to just be one continuous thing. And if you and that's like why I compare them, but they're also very different because of what Dentino said in terms of like Pink Floyd, you can take stuff from their discography and put it on the radio, as where Tool, there's like 1 or 2 songs that can fit in the parameters of a radio track. But in terms of like their goal is to make a full album sound rather than making tracks, which I love that because it's just like what I like. That's what I like when in terms of writing style. That's what I like when just I think it's the best way to go about it. Whether or not you get a lot of fans from it, but
well, that's like the authentic way to do it. Like all the older like classic rock is big on that. Zeppelin was huge on that. You know, like when Zeppelin really got into their own. So like I'm with you on that. It's and you can kind of hear how every song on Fear Inoculum, I mean, obviously they're all like the same key. It's they're all in D, you know.
So, it's all drop D.
Do not say anything about all the same in the sentence because George is gonna be super.
He doesn't know what that even means. It's no. But like, I understand how they could have been one big song with you know, and like transitioned into each other. So yeah, I guess at that point, whatever.
You said your favorite album by them is 10,000 Days?
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite albums of all time. And the rest don't even make my top 10 of favorite albums. But Latios is like phenomenal. But what about you?
I actually like, it's between that and I think it's Enema. Yeah. Just because like they're more like, it's like heavy grunge from that era.
Definitely.
So it kind of gives me like heavy Soundgarden vibes, but like it's more my personal taste.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
Nice. All right, that's cool.
Well, I used to play with all those bands, like early.
Yeah, he used to play with them.
Yeah, dude. Kev, what's your favorite Tool album?
Tool album, definitely 10,000 Days.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, that one. I mean, more so. So for me, music is like when I attach myself to something, when I say, "Oh, that's my favorite album or favorite song," it's not necessarily because it is really my favorite song or something that I'm most into. It's that song brings me back to one of my favorite memories. You know what I mean? So 10,000 Days, I remember listening to, because I didn't know Tool. My dad showed me Tool. He was the one who was like, "Yo, you have to listen to this album." And he was just repeating The Pot and, every other track that was on that album. And just, I was like, man, these guys are fucking rad. They're so different. Because at the time, I was young, because I'm younger than, how old are you, Zach?
47.
Okay, so you're not that much. You're only a year older or a couple months, depending on when, older than I am. So for me, like, when I first started listening to them, I was pretty closed-minded when it came to music when I was younger. So when my dad showed me them, and along with a lot of other music, it would just pique my interest. I'd be like, "Oh my god!" And then I would spin that track over and over and over.
Yeah.
Well, the album rather, over and over and over again in my room. And that one definitely resonates with me a ton. But
I kind of had
pretty much where it comes down.
Oddly enough, so my stepfather's a musician, and he's like the whole reason I even got into playing music. But back when him and my mom started dating years ago, he remember fucking CDs. Remember that shit? So he had like he brought, when he started to move in, he would bring in like boxes and boxes of CDs, right? So as I became more interested in music and watching him play, I asked him, I was just like, what's your favorite band? Thinking at the time, not being exposed to music, I'm not a musician at this point. I think that like the cool shit's like AC/DC, which it is, don't get me wrong. AC/DC.
Fuck them.
Fucking.
Don't even get me, dude.
Don't go.
What?
Say.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Zach, but Tool, like how Joey doesn't like tools, like how Kevin, as a guitar player using an SG, doesn't like fucking
fuck that band.
Well, okay.
They don't have the staple fucking rights to that guitar.
Just because fucking Angus Young using SG doesn't mean that I have to like that band.
Right, exactly.
Let's do that in 2 seconds, because that is a whole different fucking topic we have to hit now. Like, it's mandatory.
They're the ultimate that's what rock and roll is AC/DC. It's fucking
oh my god, then I don't fucking like rock and roll. Then. Fuck that. If that's what rock and roll is, I want out right fucking now. Fuck that shit. You can find a stray fucking cat to go fucking do AC/DC.
Dude.
Fuck that band. Fuck
you
that
go
band.
do
Only
it, dude.
half decent, cool fucking piece about that band is the guitarist. It's actually the guitarist. That's the only cool piece about the band.
Which one?
Fuck Angus Young.
What about Malcolm Young? He's like the greatest rhythm.
Yeah, Malcolm is.
Fuck that.
Malcolm Young.
I don't even know, man. Malcolm
sucks. That band sucks.
No, stop.
Any other band could have accomplished. Any other fucking garage band from that time could have accomplished what they did. They just didn't have as shitty of a singer. People were like, "Wow, man, I don't know about him." And got him talking about it. Fuck that band.
Even when they released new music, dude, it was the same shit. I was like, wow, this is not an AC/DC song if I've ever heard one. It's literally the same fucking shit.
I hate AC/DC.
Well, they really do. They hit that same sound over and over again, but like, it's good though.
What do you mean? You're telling me TNT is a good song?
It's an amazing song.
I quit.
Don't pick TNT like the one from
dude, that's their radio song. So that means that's what everybody listens to. That's when they're like, fucking
well, Back in Black is also their song that everybody kind of goes to.
That's like saying that.
Listen.
That's like saying everyone's favorite Coheed song is a favorite house, and if you like that, then it's not. That point does not stand by any means. But Back in Black. Go ahead.
You gotta go like a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Yeah.
There's fucking bagpipes in the song. Absolutely. And then you got Hot Blooded, you got Whole Lot of Rosie, you got shit.
Oh, okay. There you go. It stopped right there. It's pretty hard to think about some good songs.
I'm trying to think. Oh,
If
For
there's a
those
good
about
band, you name
rock.
fucking 10 songs off the bat. You're like,
Yeah,
this,
for
this,
those
and that.
about rock,
When you
I
have
do.
discography of songs, come on.
Everybody's
That's
favorite
it.
Coheed song is Welcome
You're trying
Home
to
anyway,
convince
so it doesn't
yourself.
matter.
They
That's
probably
what
have,
I'm saying. So here's the point to AC/DC is that, yeah, the entire Back in Black album sounds like every riff goes into each other. Every riff, you can interchange riffs from those songs into each other. Same tempo, same feel, same boom, bap, boom, bap. So I get it.
Pentatonic, that's it.
But absolutely, yeah. But they have tracks that don't fit in that category that kick so much ass.
Jailbreak. That's an early good one.
I don't know that one.
Oh, that's Bon Scott days, man.
So they pretty much have like a track. I can't remember what track it is, but it's literally Bastille Day from fucking Rush. It's almost the same chord progression.
I mean,
Yeah, chord progressions.
having a comparison to Rush isn't the worst thing in the world.
Well, what I'm saying is that if you're going to use that same chord progression, I fucking hate when they use it. And then when Rush uses it, it's fucking rad. So that's what I'm getting. And they're a 3-piece band. So there you go.
Yeah.
Do you listen to Yes?
No, the debate is Rush better than AC/DC because obviously they are. Like, obviously Rush is
But what
better.
I'm saying is they use the same chord progression for
Wait,
a
what?
fairly
You don't
simple
even
song.
Oh.
Bastille's Day is a pretty simple song for Rush, as far as Rush is concerned.
You don't even know the same bands we use the same chord progressions as. You would fucking be pissed. Like
I know
are
some
not
chord progressions
original.
are fine, but what I'm saying is two rock and roll bands that wrote songs based off of that chord progression, and it's like, all right, one's fucking super cheesy, like
Those are
fucking
different
really
genres.
cheesy, but it's the same chord progression. I'm talking about just the same chords
chords
being used.
This just
And isn't Rush considered rock and roll? Aren't they considered rock and roll?
Yeah, but so is Tool. Is AC/DC like Tool?
Oh no, but okay, so AC/DC's butt rock, and then you have fucking Tool, which is fucking awesome, enlightening fucking rock and roll music.
Tool is
Fuck
close to
AC/DC.
Rush.
You'll
and
never
AC/DC.
convince me.
Oh,
You'll
category.
never convince me.
They're prog rock bands. you
Well,
know?
but
yeah, prog rock,
those
butt rock. There's so many butt rock bands. You could put Seether, Crossfade, Saliva.
I remember one time somebody being like, I actually like AC/DC, and then they were like, oh, but this song is like from a band that tried to sound like AC/DC, but they suck. And it turned out that it was actually AC/DC. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You cannot AC/DC is good.
AC/DC.
Now, if you
didn't
want
answer
to talk about their influence on the rock and roll scene, I'll do that. Sure.
Like, this question comes up a lot. I tried thinking of it today because it was brought up. But, like, really think critically of it before you give an answer.
Okay. All right.
Without, like, asking definition of the question, just how you perceive this. Who is the greatest rock band of all time?
Oh, you can't just put a fucking title
I
on
would
that.
say
You can say it. It doesn't mean you're right, but you can.
Yeah,
say it.
because
can give an answer.
opinions and
Greatest
people
rock
who
I
are just.
I'm pretty confident.
I want
And
to see
it's-
if any of you say mine. That's it.
I think it's either Zeppelin or Rush. Honestly,
Okay.
I don't
I
think
was
there's.
going to say Zeppelin. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
I was going
And
to say,
I don't.
I mean,
And I'm not saying that to be like that's what you have to say. That's my legitimate opinion. I think straight rock and roll would be Zeppelin, and honestly, or AC/DC. I think AC/DC accomplished what rock and roll was supposed to accomplish. That's what.
Yeah.
If you're just saying that category, rock and roll, I would put one of those.
if they're, they have to be one of the most, if not the most influential rock band. I cannot deny that, regardless of how much hate I have for them. I gotta give props where props is due. I have to. But if you're asking me to sit through a whole fucking album of AC/DC,
well, they're not an album band.
I will
I agree.
fucking blow
They're
my
not an
brains
album.
out.
But like,
Then you're not a good band. If you can't listen to the whole fucking album, they're not a good band.
I'm glad
that.
you say that though, because like the
Okay,
best.
so which album? All right, so do they have any album you can listen to front to back?
Yeah, I've done it before.
Yeah. Oh my! I grew up on it. I absolutely grew up.
I did it with High Voltage.
Yeah, High Voltage was phenomenal.
You know what's crazy? For as much hate as I have for AC/DC, Highway to Hell was the first song I learned how to play on guitar.
And that's what I was about to say.
On a like a fucking third-rate SG, some off-brand SG. You know what I mean?
Like I think that's what's so great about him is the fact that like so many kids were able to pick up and play those kind of riffs and that's like the first thing they.
Yeah, nobody's picking up a guitar and playing Zeppelin. That's not happening ever.
Bullshit.
I make it happen all the time.
Communication Breakdown was one of the first songs I ever learned on guitar. So.
Really? That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Zach, what did you say was the greatest rock band?
Rolling Stones, I think.
I understand that argument.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm probably have to side with you on
AC/DC, I feel about the Rolling Stones.
I'm kind of the same way.
Really though?
Yeah, well, that's not
okay. But I'd like to hear that.
Dude,
but I'm not hating on you for it. I'm definitely not hating on you for it.
This is my truth fact about them. Is just everything I heard by them. Everything is so fucking unbelievably lame to me that I'm like,
bro, that's a killer song.
I can't stand it. But at that time, I recognized that was like the late 60s. That's music probably kicked ass back then.
Yeah.
So I get what that is, but I found out about, like, I didn't grow up on them learning guitar. I learned about them when I was playing in a cover band, and everybody was like, learn Rolling Stones songs. So now I'm like, dude, I hate all this shit.
Dude, cover bands will do that to you, though.
They will.
Cover bands.
You're right.
They ruin bands for you, bro.
But could you say the same thing if you hadn't discovered AC/DC at a young age, and if you were in cover bands, you started playing AC/DC?
AC/DC thing for me definitely is about a young age.
The reason I don't feel that way is because I'll still go back and listen to AC/DC albums, like not new ones, but like ones I haven't listened to, and I'll go all the way through. And I'll be like, that's a fucking catchy riff. And I'll do that with other bands. Like,
but that's okay. That's the thing I will say about AC/DC is the best thing about AC/DC is their guitar riffs, right?
Yeah, oh my god!
It sells the songs.
The vocalist is the most off-putting fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life when it comes to rock and roll history. Fuck that vocalist, dude. I cannot. Oh my god, dude! I can't wait to sing over a track that we write like that. I can't wait. I can't wait. If you showed up to the studio and you were like, I can't. What did you put over Green and Blue? And I was just like, and you would have fucking left the studio, drove your ass home. You would have fucking be like, hey man, you want to get throwbacks together?
Because that's a name that still is talked about. So I mean, yeah, I wouldn't see why not.
Kev, I actually have a really good question for you. I think.
Go ahead, man. Yeah.
So, out of all the tracks you've recorded with Poeta, if you could pick one singer that's living or dead to redo the vocals in place of you, who would it be?
Michael Jackson.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. You didn't even take a second to think that.
Why?
On voltage.
Michael Jackson probably has one of the most dynamic voices in pop history. As much as a lot of people like to consider him the king of pop, he had a lot of rock and roll influences, as you can see in songs such as Dirty Diana, on the songs that he came out with. What was the other one? It escapes me right now. And it's such a was Smooth Criminal? No, right? Smooth Criminal?
Black and White.
Is it?
Smooth Criminal? Smooth Criminal, because Alien Ant Farm covered it, which was actually pretty good.
I'm trying to think of the song that fucking Eddie Van Halen was on.
Oh,
Beat It, right? Beat It?
Beat It.
I mean, if you think about those things, man, like and when you hear about like what his vocals could do, when he really hit it a gritty note, or if he's really trying to get really in there, dude, he killed it. He killed it when he was trying to sound angry or whatever it was, like whether it was Earth Song and he's really belting out at the end. I think songs like, specifically, I would love to hear what he did, what he would do on a track like Day Tripper, or on a track like I would say Green and Blue, just because that one's a lot more grittier, and just to hear some of the pop influences and stuff like that. I think it would just bring a total different element and different ideas and different vibe to that. So for me, anything, it would be more interesting to kind of hear that.
All I want to hear now is AC/DC's version of Green and Blue. That's all I like. Not even the vocalist.
That would probably drive me to fucking
play that riff. Like, I want to hear him do like the lead, like the fuck.
Just freaking out. Just playing that shit the whole time. Just playing that.
Stopping his leg, walking across the stage and shit. Like, what the fuck?
That's an interesting question, though. That is an interesting question.
Because like
it's
different than me asking who's your favorite vocalist. It's who'd you rather record what you've written and what you've done already.
The reason why I say that too is just because I'd like to hear a wildly different take than mine, you know, and someone who grew up like Motown and fucking, you know, all this other shit, and then slowly adapted into these other things. I think would be super interesting to hear what he would do on like a straight rock track, you know.
Kind of disappointed you didn't say Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson would be great on some Poeta shit.
I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you.
That's the older singer of AC/DC. The one who he replaced Bon Scott.
That was probably the easiest replacement ever. Hey, which one sucks the most? That guy.
Dude, they're insufferable too, because when they replaced Bon Scott, it was like literally like at a moment's notice. They were like, "This is the next guy," and then they released the best album.
Well, dude, so like it took them 6 months from finding Brian Johnson to the release of Back in Black.
So they murdered Bon Scott.
That's fucking. But again, Back in Black is the same song 12 times in a row, and he was just, "I'll just do the shit on it." Like, and they were like, "Yeah, we liked everything."
It's all good, dude.
That's probably the one. That might be the one band that I hold the most disdain for. You know what, too? That's the one band I hear the most at work.
Oh, okay. So of course, it's gonna drive you.
That might feed into it.
There's some tension there, then. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I put on the fucking Foo Fighters radio at work, and fucking AC/DC came on. I'm like, I can't escape it. I can't escape it.
So next to Tool, Foo Fighters are probably up there for me as well.
I like Foo Fighters. I really do like the Foo Fighters.
They're a band that's absolutely taking it to the next level. Like as soon as they came onto the scene, like it has nothing to do with Nirvana. Like Dave Grohl, like took his own fucking, you know, musical genius that he has inside of him, and he was like, I'm going to create something that has probably been fucking kept inside for him for way too long, and now's his opportunity to do it. Because I saw that documentary where people were asking him like, oh, do you think Foo Fighters would have been as successful if you were in Nirvana? Of course it would, dude. It's like, it's a completely different fucking sound in itself from Nirvana. It's not even nowhere near close to it. I think it helped.
I think to your point that I would say over 50% of the people that listen to Foo Fighters have no idea that dude was in Nirvana.
It's true. Like, yeah,
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
I just can't believe how proficient of a guitar player he is sometimes. Yeah. I'm just like, and he doesn't give himself enough credit because, like, obviously he did all that press tour for Medicine at Midnight, and he was talking about how he's like, I'm not a guitar player. It's like, dude, you wrote some of the most amazing guitar pieces, regardless how simple it is or not. Like, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so let me pose this question then: is he an amazing guitarist, or is he an amazing songwriter?
Right? Songwriter.
So.
What's it mean to either, you know?
It's one and the same, right?
It's one and the same, but songwriting.
When I think of an amazing guitarist, I'm thinking of people like Steve Vai.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
these people that are, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see
Eddie Van Halen.
He's definitely a songwriter.
Right. So I don't see the Dave Grohl being an amazing guitarist. He's fantastic, but I think he's a better songwriter first. I think like especially when I see like some of his songs stripped down and he's doing acoustic versions of them and he's explaining what went through the process of writing it and doing it. I don't think it's necessarily that it was because of the gift he has on guitar. I think it's because of the gift he has as a songwriter. It's just me.
To your point on that though, I would say like I don't use my potential at all when I write for us. Like that's all. That's 100% songwriting first. So like if you had listened to our shit and then judged my guitar, like not that you are judging. I know you're leaving room for
yeah.
But like I think I juggle that question all the time. Like, am I more of a songwriter or am I more of a guitar player? I don't really know. Like I think I have a good way of like balancing that, and he probably does too. But like his music leaves like way less room to show off. You know, like if he was showing off, you'd be like, what the fuck is that frontman doing? Why?
Yeah.
Like, why?
I'm sure he's a great guitarist, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm not even knocking that.
No, I know.
I'm more so just posing the question. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, philosophizing. To piggyback off that, to philosophize what would be is a good guitar player like someone who fits their guitar to the song, you know, or is it somebody who is, you know?
It's kind of like what I would say about a drummer. When I say a drummer's fucking fantastic or really good, it's not necessarily because they're doing the most technical shit on the drums. It's just whatever fits this. Like they're doing just enough to make the song really bounce or pop, or you know what I mean. Like they're giving a certain characteristic to the track, not necessarily.
With a bass player though, because a drummer, at least sometimes, like it can be too simple on drums and boring. I feel that a bassist, my personal opinion, I've never heard the bass ever and said this was too simple, ever. The bass can stay simple a whole song and everybody else can do cool shit. And like the bass keeping it simple is what is keeping that spine, the spine to the whole foundation. That's just my opinion. I'm sure Zach, as a bass player, you might have a different opinion on that though.
I personally also have a different opinion on the bass, but go ahead, Zach.
It's really weird because like, especially when I try and think about like the bass players that influenced me, and it's probably number one, oddly enough, was not to say he's like in my Mount Rushmore or anything like that, but it's probably Phil Rudd, the bass player from AC/DC, because I mean, look at their discography and it's just jerking off on guitar the entire time, and the bass player yeah. And like that's such like a great thing, because I try and tell people that like music's way more approachable and easy than you think it is, and you can be more of a facilitator for other people to bring them up and make them shine, and that's just as fun as shredding a guitar solo. And I think if you haven't checked this out yet, so my favorite bass player is Victor Wooten, without a question.
Okay.
And he did.
Who's he from? I'm pretty bad with names.
He's from the Wooten brothers, and he's from Bela Fleck. So, but Victor Wooten's like, especially across the bass community, he's known as the greatest bass player in the world.
He's like a Satriani. Like, never asked where Satriani's from.
He does. Yeah. He's expert, virtuoso level on every facet, tapping, pop slapping, just everything. But
I can't wait for Billy Sheehan to hear this.
Oh my god!
Oh, dude,
Billy Sheehan's up there too, but he can't do as much as Victor Wooten did.
If I'm gonna be honest, I think Billy Sheehan's the way he plays bass is almost as if the approach a guitarist would take if they played bass.
Yeah, and that's why I think Billy's so special, because Billy's the first guy that made me realize how cool being a bass player was. And that you can not that like that's what I like out of it, but you like if you wanted to, it's possible, and that's just a cool spot.
Yeah, he plays that bass like it's a guitar. Like it's not anything that like he's structuring and making it simplified. Like the guy's actually, you know, sometimes playing like a guitar. It blows my fucking mind.
Yeah, for sure. But if you guys haven't checked this out, TED Talks, everybody knows what TED Talks are, right?
Absolutely.
Victor Wooten did one, and at a time, we talked about this the other night about, I was like kind of feeling lost with music, and I didn't know whether or not like, I was like, what's really the point of me doing this anymore? I've kind of like hit a spot where I'm in a rut. And I watched this video that I haven't seen before, and he talked about for about 16 minutes about his perspective on why music's so important and how it can be used to benefit the world and why he chooses to be a bass player. And he talks about like this really cool thing at the end where he did the commencement ceremony, and he did the commencement speech at Stanford University for their music program. And he talked about how part of the speech is that he has a band full of virtuoso musicians, and then he has a bass for a participant in the audience that's never played an instrument before, and he gets them to come up and he gets them to play with the virtuoso band. And he talks about, he goes, I could have the 4 best musicians in the world on the stage, and we could all be great individually, but we need to be great as a team to make everything work. And he goes, I can get that person that's never played bass before, teach them how to just stay in the pocket on one note, and you would never know that they're a beginner.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's such like an amazing thought. And I was like, wow, shit. And the way he sums it up, I won't spoil it for you, but it's like, it just really, it like motivates you to play. If you haven't checked it out, I highly suggest you check it out.
I definitely will. I think for me, I've always had especially being like, I won't necessarily call myself a guitarist. I would consider myself more of a vocalist than I am a guitarist, but I have this strange fascination with bass. I love rhythm. I think I don't know if like Anthony or George would vouch, but when it comes to writing the music that we write, I'm never like involved in like the more technical aspects. There's like any solos or leads or anything like that. But when it comes to a rhythm, like I need to feel that, you know?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to percussions and bass together as a unit, for me, it's Geddy Lee. I love what he does and how he follows the drums. And for me, rhythm is such a big aspect that when I hear them play together, man, I've never heard a bassist and a drummer be more in tune with each other than those two guys. And it is incredible to really listen to a lot of different Rush tracks and hear really just how in tune they are. When you hear the bass kicks and all the intricacies he's doing with that and some of the fills he's doing and how Geddy is literally fucking matching him, you know, beat for beat, you know, and really accenting those things. But, you know, for me, that's pretty technical. Whereas you're talking about the simplicity of the instrument and how it is used to really be the spine of a song. Whereas I'm kind of talking about how a bass can do that, but at the same time still shine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to that point, I'm talking if they, how do I say this?
Oh, he's gonna say something fucked up, Zach.
I'm ready, dude.
Bass isn't important at all.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I guess what I was trying to say is, for me, that's kind of how I write now. Is like keep the bass as simple as it can possibly. Obviously, there's times where it shouldn't be, and you put the fills in and whatever. But if something has to be simple, I would rather it's gonna be my bass, my bass drum and my bass guitar are like just fucking easy, simple. Like Absolutely. Everything else can be complicated in a song, and that doesn't mean that simple can't be talented. But I mean, you're right about your point. Like anytime I've never heard you once in how long we've been writing music. I've never heard you once, like when I've showed you a song, been like, oh, we should change the melody of those guitars or the chord progression of those guitars. Like it's never been that. Like you're cool with that, but I have heard you think a lot about the dynamics of a song and the feel of like what the percussion is doing and what the bass is doing. And I notice you latch on more to songs that like the new one that we have, like Red Moon, like that Luna, like that's got like a boom, that's like got like a riff, like a catchy riff going there. And I remember you catching on to that. You were like, oh, sick, we have like a riff that like bounces and like moves, and you like shit like that. And it's funny because I don't think like that at all. I'm never like, oh, let me write like a catchy riff.
It's so strange how we're very polar opposites of each other.
Absolutely.
And it really is strange.
Absolutely. But lately for this album, I've been trying to realize that about myself and been like, let's say I didn't have Kevin there. Like, how would I have to do this on my own? Like, how would I implement the catchiness and all that shit? It's like, so it's, you know, we fill each other out good. And then now we have Zach who can play those things, which is going to be phenomenal. And not only can, but wants to play. And isn't a guy who learned how to play bass. He's a fucking bass player. Like,
right, that's important. That's important.
I've never had that, you know?
Yeah, right. I think that's important because sometimes, you know, you're calling, like, for example, the drums or the bass drum might be a little bit simpler there. And the bassist is trying to do something that isn't that simple, but it's integral to carry that portion of the song. I think a good example of that is the dynamics in the newest song that we've been, you know, pre-proing. And you know, in the beginning, it's super simple, literally like just open notes, just matching with just to accent the you know, the openness of it. And then you get to like the chorus and a solo and the bass is ripping, you know what I mean? So right. A pocket is so important. I think I really learned this when I watched the drummer, you know, going back to Michael Jackson, the drummer for Michael Jackson.
Oh, dude's phenomenal.
His nickname is like Sugarfoot. The pocket that he sits in, oh my God, dude! I don't care who you are, even if you don't like music, which I can never understand that or fathom that. But even if you're not into music, you hear that drum beat in that pocket he's in, you can't help but just be, oh, all right, yeah, okay, I feel that. You know what I mean? That's important. For me, like Dentino said, he's never heard me mention like melody or anything like that. But when it comes to rhythm and just feeling that in your body, that is probably what, for me anyway, in my opinion, I think it's one of the things that is carried over from generation to generation to generation. When you have a good rhythm, you can get people to move, dance, whatever it is, even if it's just straight up just a simple head bob or even tapping their finger to whatever rhythm you're laying down. It's important because you're making them do something against their will. It's not something that they're thinking about doing. It's something that just all of a sudden happens. And they're like, okay, this is nice, you know? And it's a weird frequency that you become like attached to, you know? But that's just me when it comes to rhythm. So yeah.
Definitely like speaking of like being in the pocket, that's why like a lot of people talk shit on John Mayer, but John Mayer, in terms of what he's done, is a huge influence on me too, because of his John Mayer trio band with Pino Palladino. Pino Palladino is one of my favorite musicians ever because like one of the greatest examples of how just in the zone he is and how he has intuitively understood that his role, no matter how filthy he can be on his own, is to lift the song up, especially in a power trio, the hardest fucking thing to do. And he does it in a song of all things, Crossroads, where John Mayer is doing the solo in Ain't No Sunshine, Ain't No Sunshine, but the Bill Withers cover that they did.
Yes.
And John's just doing like this wicked 2.5 minute solo. And you got Pino Palladino in the back on flatlands on a P bass, just holding this boom. And that's it.
So important.
And
but see, that's the part of the song that I'll attach to, which is very strange.
Right.
I'll attach to that portion of the song, and that's the part that I'm like, all right, fucking A. For example, Snarky Puppy, Thing of Gold. Like right after that first like minute and a half, that fucking groove they go into is that pocket is so fucking good, man.
Yeah, and they let that one artist breathe and play over it. That's the whole point.
Dude, Volpack kicks.
I love Volpack.
Oh,
Joe Dart. Joe Dart is amazing.
Oh yeah.
So you're a big did you learn Deantown? I try to teach all my kids Deantown on bass. Like
that's great for fingers.
Exactly.
It's
like 60 notes the whole time. I think whatever. But
I love watching people try and learn it because you can see how far they come pretty quickly with that song.
Well, my bass students, like anytime I'm teaching rhythm, like I'll do that like crazy. But it's funny because when you talk about in the pocket and all that rhythm stuff, like for some reason, like Kev said, like those are parts that'll catch him in a song. Like, obviously, objectively as a musician, I like that stuff. But what I'm passionate about would be like, I wouldn't care about that unless it was like metal. Like when a metal band grooves, I'm like, like.
Well, that's why I love Tool.
Tool, perfect example.
Because like I'm not into the heaviest of shit, right? But because I don't listen to vocals, I don't listen to, and I never been this way. I don't know lyrics. Like I listen to that rhythm section, especially with Tool, and I love the dissonance they create with the polyrhythms. I love feeling it synchronized back into each other. I think that's like a borderline high you get when you literally feel it sway back into place naturally. I think that's like it's just unexplainable, man.
It is a magic that you have to take time. That they took the time to sync that up.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. Like,
well, what's great? I think there's a song in. I think it's Rosetta Stone's. It's just this bass.
Great drum song with the rudiments.
So like where's the part where it's just bass and drums and it's like bum 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 bum. You know what I mean? That part that's just the two of them. Like that is the catchiest shit, and it is not in a common time, and not a rhythm that you latch onto, but everybody, whether they know music or not, is bobbing to it. So if you can make that happen, like that is genius right there. 2 instruments made that happen that are doing super complex shit, and everybody's on board with it. And that to me is genius. Dude, so when people are like, I don't like Tool, like George, and then but you didn't listen to that part yet, like you didn't hear that happen in context of the whole song, but it is hard to be like, no, listen to the whole 13 minutes because minute 8 gets great. Like, it's hard to say.
Dude,
I skip half the song, dude.
Dude, George, you remember when I did that to you a couple months ago because they released that drum cam video of Danny Carey playing Numa?
It was so fucking good,
George,
dude.
you gotta watch this. And
I watched the whole thing, dude. It's incredible how talented the guy just carries his polyrhythms throughout the entire song.
Yes,
I can't comprehend what the fuck the guy's playing. And I'm like, damn, dude, like that's just incredible. Dude, but all in all, jokes aside, like Tool is a great band. I won't put them on. Like I introduced Zach to Periphery recently, and like that is something I can easily latch on to.
I can understand that.
You know what I mean? Like, although that's progressive metal and structure-wise, like, I think they're one of the bands that are revolutionizing that genre to bring out some kind of different atmosphere for what they're doing. And, like, dude, that whole band is just fucking stupid with how incredible they write their stuff. Like,
that's why their guitarist, he's one of my... Somebody said this to me in high school. I think I was 15, and somebody was like, who's your favorite guitar player? And I was like, Adam Jones. And they were like, I can play everything on Adam Jones. Like, I can play it. And I was like, I can play it all, too, and I'm 15. It's not what it's about. It's like look what they did. Like the 4 of them. Like, somebody had to write that, you know, and somebody had to fill in that spot with one fucking guitar. And like you listen to the intricacies, like his tone, like the way he controls feedback. Like he taught me how to control feedback. You know, it's like who thinks about that? You don't learn that in guitar lessons. You're like, oh, this is gonna really bring that song up, you know?
That shows how him and like Tom Morello were friends, obviously, in the beginning.
They were the
you could see the influences between each other with like how Tom Morello, like regardless of what you want to say about him as a guitar player, because it's pretty polarizing on how you think of him, he manipulates like unorthodox
frequencies
and makes it frequencies and makes it into music. Like
well, now think about it this way too, man.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely.
When you talk about Jimi Hendrix now, he was doing it without the technology that pedals were offering and the way you could manipulate through that.
Dude, that's so true.
Through a stomp box. He was doing it straight, just pickups, guitar, fucking amp.
People talk shit, say he's sloppy. It's like it doesn't.
He is though, but he is. That's the thing.
Like,
he is sloppy, but that's the same thing with the guitars from what's that band in Living Color, right?
Yeah,
the Cult of Personality song.
Yeah.
Listen to that song. You listen to this guitar solo and all that stuff, and his guitar work. He's really not that clean of a guitarist, but man, like he's you know, it's weird. It's weird to say. It's almost like with vocals. For me, I don't need the most perfect vocals or the most clean vocals. I need vocals with emotion. So it might include a crack or something here and there, or a slight imperfection, or how the note's brought in, or how it hits. But for me, it's more important than the perfection of hitting that note. When you can feel the passion and that emotion behind it, it carries and holds more weight than if it was like perfected.
There's a part in Gimme Shelter where in the background you can hear like the female singers that they had.
That's my favorite part of the song.
Yes, I was just about
to say. My favorite part of the
that
song. And you hear everybody like, oh, you hear everybody say that because it's not something that was scripted or she's probably done in any other tape.
Genuine.
But when it hits there, you're like, fuck yes, that's it. You know, that's the magic. And to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, Dentino, about how, okay, this is my favorite guitarist. It's like, oh, but I can play everything that person does. Right. So Neil Peart is considered one of the best drummers of all time. Right. People play his stuff all the time, but somebody had to write that.
Correct. Yeah,
so I totally get what you're saying. Like Tom Sawyer, that fill in Tom Sawyer before that final verse, outro, chorus, whatever. Somebody had to write that fill, you know, but to replicate it isn't as difficult as actually orchestrating it and coming up with it,
organically
and composing
coming out with that.
Yeah, man, it's like anybody art
I
song.
totally understand.
Like
that.
if somebody went and was like, "Oh, I play," like that dude did a Green and Blue cover on YouTube. I don't look down upon Green and Blue because some kid figured it out by ear. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Somebody cared enough to, because like a song that's simple enough, you're not going to do a cover of it. So they were like, "Oh, that's cool. Maybe I'm proud enough that I figured it out, and I'm going to show that off to people. I was able to figure this song out." I'm like, that's really cool. That's awesome.
It was, dude. When I forget who said it, was it you, George, that sent it, or was it you?
I watch it every once in a while, so I think it was.
I have. I think it's fucking wild. I think I stumbled upon it. I ended up like watching it maybe a couple weeks ago, and I was like, dude,
yeah, I posted
rad,
it
man.
a few weeks ago.
I think that's probably when that's when I watched it. Absolutely, yeah. I think that's definitely when I watched it. And I was like, that's so cool, man, that somebody did that or cared enough to take the time out.
Yeah, he dissected the entire song
written,
and just completely played it to a T rhythmically, and I was like, wow, like this is incredible.
It was rad.
I've never seen anything like that. Now, dude,
shout out to that guy. What was his name?
I'll find it right now. Hold on.
Please do that. Please do that because that was really cool, man. For anybody to do that, I thought that was really cool.
I think this goes along with what I was saying before, like keeping that bass simple. I've been so trained to do that with writing for us, and not a knock to Sean at all, but when you have a beginner bass player in there, you can't go crazy or they're going to get discouraged, So
it's weird. I did the exact opposite when I was working with Sean
prior
to Poeta.
Because
Yeah. So I was like, no,
so
you're going to learn this.
Like, learn this, whatever. I had to be. So I was very used to like, and then the bassist and throwbacks also wasn't really crazy, and we were like a prog band kind of, So it was like I'm very used to having to
100%
write
pop punk
stuff around a simple bass player, and
you guys were basically knuckle puck in a sense.
Thank you. I tried to make it more intense than that, but like the last 10 years of my life, I've been writing parts for a simple bass player. So it's like, how do I make a song still sound interesting and cool with a member of the band who's limited, who isn't going to write their own stuff? Not that I have to, but like I know they're not going to do it themselves, or they don't know how to do it themselves.
Yeah, it's almost like creating the building blocks for them to, or the foundation for them to build a skyscraper.
Absolutely. Right? It's one of the things too, where it's like why I'm not big on fills for bass. It's like, it's because like I'm used to leaving that up. Like if I don't put the fill in there, it's not going to get done.
You're talking about writing it as opposed to
to
actually having it.
Yeah, I never took the time to do it, and then they just never happened. It was always something with like bass and drums and like a foundation or a tablet. I was like, those members will write those parts. I'll write the guitars, but like at least we have the feel. So like that's why when I never tell George like, oh, play the exact same drum beat I wrote. I'm like, just keep that feel. Like I don't care what you do. Keep the kick drum the same if you change it.
So going back to what we were saying earlier about you either being a guitar player or a songwriter, like that's how I view you as a songwriter, because you're already able to structure these songs out with all the instrumentation, and then we kind of just like build off of that in a sense. That's why like a lot of times I don't I tell you all the time, the one thing I don't really change with drum parts, and maybe it's a slight change in a sense, is the chorus, because it's such a already structured part. I'm like, if you change it, you fuck it up. Like it needs to be played like that. So you're like, dude, tackle this verse, tackle this bridge. I'm like, okay.
Right, because I know I personally, if there's anything I'm confident on, usually it's like the chorus. Like I showed you the song because I'm like, I know I want the chorus. Like we have to have stuff around it. Maybe this will, you know what I mean? But you're right. Like when I'm done, and I never am like, I have to write everything. But it turned out in our situation where how far apart we all are, it turned out like if I want to show you guys something, if I just send you guys the guitar, you guys might not get the context. So it's like, well, here's the context. Like, this could work. And it usually ends up everybody's being like, yeah, okay, this is a good foundation. Let's build on. So in no way am I feel like the primary songwriter. I'm like, I just want to show my idea. My ideas are just, I have to get them out. So like, I remember when we first started with Poeta, I felt like I was just sending stuff like crazy. And I was like, I feel bad because like we should be writing this together, but like we only get together once a week.
There was a lot of stuff that we were doing too, where I had some of a little portfolio of stuff for songs like, such as, you remember, like we had Green and Blue, but then we were, well, let's you reworked it, and then there was Sweet, where that main lead. You know what I mean? Like I had these like little foundations for just the Golden Fields album, and just for a couple songs off of it. But that's also another thing too. Remember, like you had this whole thing where you called it Golden, and I was like, oh well, I have this thing that's called Golden, and it literally ended up fucking being a part of.
That was awesome.
It was the same key, and it ended up being a part of that song, which was wild. I thought that was so crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think it's more important to be a master composer than it is to necessarily be just a master of the instrument of your primary instrument, I should say. Because I mean, think about it, like fucking Beethoven or Mozart or Bach, right? They didn't necessarily play the instruments, but they understood it enough to compose songs where other people could play them and create some of the most timeless music that has ever existed in history.
Yeah.
So I think composing music is, for me anyway, is probably one of the most important aspects, because you could shred a guitar all day, but if you don't know how to fucking structure a song, it doesn't matter.
And there's a lot of guys out there like that are doing the same bedroom rock with their webcam, and they're writing their own songs, and it's always whatever it is. Like you'll see a lot of those guys shredding, and it's like I've heard this before, like the background of their song, in my opinion, might not be like the craziest thing, but they're ripping a cool solo. I mean, I love that. Like, of course, I'm gonna appreciate their expression upon it, but I agree. If I had to pick between being an amazing guitar player or a phenomenal songwriter, I think I would, as a musician, take in the songwriting aspect. And that's what's going to be fun about having Zach and hopefully getting to play with you live is like, do you understand, like it can just add a lot to our writing process. You have pride, you take pride in groove, and you understand that part of it. And that's something I've always lacked. So to have that is going to be nice,
Me and you're going to have a lot of fun, Zach.
I know. I'm ready, man.
We're having a lot of fun because groove for me is so important. Like what Dentina was saying, dude, like a big reason why a song like that we were releasing tomorrow, Archangel, was written was because I literally went to Dentina and was like, we need more songs with like these fucking riffs that are gonna fucking just, people are gonna just bounce to. And he, like, I remember him saying, like, I took that to heart, and here's something that I wrote, and it was Archangel. And I was like, this is it, man. This is it. Because the moment you hear that song, for me anyway, when I first heard it, I couldn't help but just be like, you know what I mean?
Yes,
just involuntarily. Yeah. And that's when, you got it. You wrote something that's people will resonate with. Not everybody necessarily, but that people, whoever's interested, will resonate with. So I'm so excited to share that song with everybody, man. It's been a long time coming.
For real.
It was probably out of the two songs that we recorded at that time period, I think, obviously with Anxious Racing, we also recorded Archangel in the same session. I think Archangel was probably my favorite out of the two, only because of the strong rhythmic sense that was involved in that.
I knew that. I showed it to people, obviously, and I've had so many, like everyone I've showed it to, 100% of people, no lie, have instantly just
yeah, man. Yeah,
I've had two people say they're like, "This is your best song, no doubt," and that's why I'm excited for it too. And I don't listen back to any of our songs. I listen back and I'm like, oh, I remember what we were feeling at this time, or I like it for our reasons, whatever. But I think this one, objectively, like the only thing I can say about it is that it kicks ass. Like you hear it, like this fucking kicks ass. And that song was written like on like I didn't open Pro Tools to write that song. I opened it to write something else. And I remember just like riffing that riff, and for no reason I laid it down. And the rest of that song wrote itself. Like the chorus, it was like, that's obvious. I think the chorus was like one take, the drums were one take. And it was just like, do you guys like this? And you guys were just like, yes. Like we had
specifically that breakdown part, quote unquote, that breakdown part. I think you were like, I don't know about this part, and I was like, I don't know. this is it. That's the part. You know what I mean? I was like, that's
well, because we never did anything like that. But again, like that I was listening to a lot of era. Like I still listen. Like my primary music right now is like metal bands. Like I still listen to like metal bands. So I get a lot
very
of
interesting, man.
Yeah, I mean, I love there's because of era and like Northland and volumes, right. Like they're so melodic and so tough that the only thing I can hear is like passion behind it, you know. And I love that guitar work, and I love taking that. Like our biggest influence for Golden Fields, as far as the songwriting, for me was era, and we sound nothing like that. And same with like what's going on now. Like the band Era is so influencing this album, and like you hear some music from us, and you're like, oh, that's pop punk. Like where did that come from, Era? You know. But it's just, you know, to each his own. And like Zach, like, do you write music ever? Like, you ever write your own stuff? That's awesome.
I play guitar too, so
a lot of fucking Ted Nugent cover bands.
Yeah. No, a lot of the stuff, like really, like with my anxiety and stuff like that. One of the biggest things that I do is I have a guitar in every single room, and I play acoustic everywhere I go. And I have a Martin LXM.
Oh, nice. Yeah, little guys.
Here in the house, I literally beat the shit out of that thing. Right? So, because it's a workhorse, man. It's a traveler's guitar, so you can beat the shit out of it.
That's good. That means you love her.
Yeah.
If you're playing her that often, that means you love her. Not like Dentino. Plays her once, sells her.
Dude.
Plays another one, sells them.
Come on. That's so true.
What? Were you not talking about earlier before Zach joined about possibly getting rid of the PRS? What?
Wait, what? Wait, what PRS do you have?
I've had this for 10 years, and my telly. I've had my telly, and I got it back. I sold
you got it back, but you sold it.
Somebody was watching her while I got money off it.
Are you more telly?
Bullshit! They're watching it. They're doing more than just watching, boy.
As far as playing, as far as feel wise, I'm a Strat guy. Because of like, think of Eric Johnson. Like I play a lot like that. Like that's kind of my style. But as far as looks wise, which was vainly a big thing for me when I first started playing music, a Telecaster. And I still like the only thing and a PRS is like the perfect guitar. I have a
PRS
custom.
Is my favorite guitar. That one's right over here in the corner.
Oh, okay, awesome. There you go.
I sold mine. Fuck.
What a piece of shit.
Well,
me too.
You know, Kev, you had a model I'm not too fond of, to be honest. Like I wouldn't have kept that. And I've had one of those too. I had it for a little bit.
I remember. Yeah, that was like around the time I bought mine. And I liked it. I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't me.
It's not right. The only thing about this PRS I don't love is like when it's a 24 fret, which I'm used to. My first real guitar was 24 fret, and like when we play songs like Blueprints, like having that 24th fret is a high E octave, so it's like I love having those extra notes. Like I like being able to do that, and just like shred wise, it's cool. But 24 fret guitars, when you're standing up, like they don't look like they just don't look as tight. Like they don't look.
That's part of it, man. Like you need to feel fucking confident when you're doing it.
And the best I've ever felt is like the Telecaster. So like I'm getting it set up now, and that Telecaster for me is Poeta. Like I took that like on Warped Tour. I've played so many shows with that.
Is that with the 2 single coils there, or do you have like a 72 Deluxe style?
No, I wish I had the 72 Deluxe style. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I'm a humbucker guy, so.
Me too. I am too.
Honestly, my guitar has always been Gibson. The one guitar that I've rocked since 2006 has been the Explorer.
And Explorer fucking kicks ass, dude. There's also been people in the local scene who bought an Explorer because of yours, like playing that shit.
Yeah, yes, I've noticed that, which was cool. I thought that was pretty cool.
Explorer guys always are fanatical about. I've never played one before. Incredible though.
It's the weight thing, man. It's the feeling, like what you guys talk about, like 24 frets, having it look good, feel good. It's the same thing with the Explorer. Just I don't know, man. There's no other guitar I can just rest my fucking arm on the back end of it. You know what I mean? Like, and then just go straight to playing. Like the feeling of it, the weight of it. I love that fucking thing, man. I haven't played it in such a long time. I've been thinking about retiring her, but I don't know yet.
Whoa.
I don't think you ever will, man. Because like I said, I sold the Strat, and then
I didn't sell her though. You fucking traitor.
At least I never retired her.
She's always been with me. That's okay. If she's retired, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. She's still with me in my care under my supervision. Yeah, I didn't let some other fucking.
Oh, I'm sure she's so happy collecting dust in the corner while mine's getting.
She's in a case. Somewhere. She's in a case being taken care of and fucking.
I let her have someone else for a while. I let her have.
You let someone else. All right, that's the equivalent of letting someone else violate your significant other.
So you're a cuck.
Dude, you said the same thing. And when I let you play at George's house, you were like, "This doesn't feel right," and it was because you knew that I had fucking spewed my goo all over that thing.
You're just dirty. You're just dirty and sticky.
Dude, that's the first thing I told my girlfriend. I said, "Listen, I love you. This is my first baby. You don't come before her. If she breaks and you're the reason, I'll break you."
Honestly, though, like it's crazy because I've never had like a guitar that I'm like, this is my baby, but like that Telecaster really, really like just is like it's just the one I'm stuck with because it's the one that I got it. Yeah, remember I got it. I was on the
nasty ass color.
Nasty ass color. I was on the search for the ultimate
dude, it was gross. It was like a vomit green. It was weird.
Vomit green. It's called Antique Bud, and everybody I don't know
Antique Bud.
Everybody in the in the scene, I remember, was just like, "That's fucking awesome," and I was like, "I hate this." So I kept buying these guitars. The pickguard
was the same fucking color too,
and that was stupid. So I took it off. I sanded it down for like a month, and I had a friend paint on it, and then I put a Bigsby on it, and I put an American neck. It's a Japanese body, and then everybody was like. I couldn't play one show. I was playing in a cover band at the time. Every fucking show, somebody was like, "That's a sick guitar," and I was like,
"It's true.
This is cool.
This
is I like this."
I'm so glad for that because I was able to just walk off the stage with nobody coming to me. Thank God.
They would leave Kevin alone and just flock to Dentino
man.
And be like, "Dude,
I'm
what kind of guitar is that?" The amount of questions. Do you remember when we played our first tour on the Weekender in Canada? And I brought my Truth Kit for the house kit between us and the Sharks. And there was that one guy that I think it was like either the third or fourth show. He's like, "Dude, that's a really nice kit." He started rubbing it. I was like, "Please fucking don't touch my kit, dude. Like, that's the last thing you need to do." Like, I know it's a beautiful mahogany, but like, you don't need to fucking like fondle it. Like, this is mine, dude.
It is the best looking kit I've ever seen in my life. Like,
it's gorgeous, dude. Dude, Jeff,
you're selling it, no?
I mean, I am. This guy's offering me $1,000 for it. I'm just like, I don't have to sell it, but I think I'm just gonna hold on to it. Like, I don't know. Like, this is that's my baby. Like, that's everything I've ever wanted.
I'll never sell the Explorer.
Everything I wanted in a drum set. I'm just talking about like financial reasons. Like, and this is before like.
No, yeah. I mean, dude, I could be dying. Yeah, I won't sell.
Like, I'm fine. Like, I pay my bills. Like, I have money in the bank. But I'm like, if I don't have to sell it, I'm not gonna sell it. It was just for like a financial like. I think I was gonna. Mostly for the idea was I was gonna sell it because for the podcast we're doing it in person and we're buying all this equipment. I'm like, if I just sell this drum set right now, I can get this and that and that and that.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
And nobody's really buying it. But this one guy's like, I'll offer you $1,000 for it. I'm like,
don't do it. Yeah, if you already have that feeling
gorgeous,
about
dude.
it, about a sale, and you were looking to get rid of it, don't do it, man.
I just bought like. The base of basses for me, and that was the Fender Ultra 5-string, the J bass.
That was the one you brought over, correct?
Yeah, that
bass, dude, slaps.
I'll never get rid of that.
Very nice.
The fact that it's 5-string, like, and that color scheme, and I just walked into a Guitar Center in KOP, and I fucking found it. I was like, so I told my wife beforehand, I was like, I woke up one morning, I was like, I'll go check, and if it's there, I'll get it. And if it's not exactly how I want it, I'm just not going to buy it. I was like, it's destiny at that point, right? I walk in, it's right there.
You set yourself up for failure. You walked in there earlier the week. You said, "Oh, that's right there."
I wish I did.
And you told your wife, "You're like, hey, if it's there, you know."
Dude, I went to 2 Guitar Stars before that, and I couldn't find it, and I was like, yeah, it's not going to be there. But dude,
you wanted it to happen.
I did. But honestly, if I could, what I really want is like one of the authentic Warwick basses straight from Germany, because I have a Warwick but a rock bass.
Yeah, I know those. Yeah,
but it's like a great bass. It was like my first like legit bass I ever had, and I still just don't play it that much. And like it's a 5-string, and it's
I can't believe that's what you want, and you're not the biggest like Les Claypool fan. Like that's crazy to me.
I respect Les Claypool a lot. It's just I can't listen to that shit. It's too crazy.
Weird, dude. It is weird. I'm not gonna. I love Les Claypool. I think some of his shit is fucking genius, but I could totally get why people are turned on.
I gotta do a lot of coke to.
It's the easiest to not like.
Yeah, it's so like what's the one song or fuck man, I can't remember what it's called. It's like, hey baby, do you want to lay down with me? Hey baby, do you want to lay down with me? Hey baby, do you want to lay down with me? Hey baby. Hey, baby. And he's just like shredding the fucking bass.
Must
the
be
whole
fun
time.
as shit to record.
And
that
I
stuff
love
and write
that
it.
song, right? But it's not for everyone.
So like,
it's definitely not for everybody.
The perfect example of like what a guitar player. Okay, so I think I would have the most amount of anxiety being the guitar player in that band, because it's like, what the fuck do I play over this? That's like, like,
dude, I would have so much fun just talking nonsense over that shit.
Yeah, you can hear what he's playing. There's no wrong or right answer. He's just making. And I watched his rig rundown. That dude, Larry, and it's like, or Larry, I guess Larry. It's like his. Yeah. He doesn't use like crazy as shit, really, and he's just like the nicest dude. And I'm like, yeah, this dude probably just had so much fun.
Do either of you fuck with like opening tunings a lot?
I do on my acoustic all the time.
Do you know of a semi-folk kind of musician called Shaky Graves?
Yeah,
dude, I saw him right before the pandemic ended, back like in September. It was at the Fillmore, bro.
Oh, cool. My guitar player,
the Fillmore.
Oh, Shaky Graves.
One of my favorite venues.
Such a great venue, dude. That was the first show I saw there.
I love corporate venues.
Really? My first show at the Fillmore was Coheed and Cambria, and that was fantastic. It was them and the Deer Hunter, and it was fucking fantastic.
Well, we also saw them at Starland, like the couple years prior. And Polyphia was also playing that show. I was
yes,
like,
Polyphia. It was. What was it? Who was the? It was Polyphia, I the Mighty. No,
I the Mighty was definitely there for sure.
Was it them?
I had to have been. I don't know. All I remember was the.
I remember Balance and Composure and I the Mighty. I don't know if they kept I the Mighty for the rest of that tour. I can't remember.
By the way, back to the guy who covered Green and Blue. I don't know his name, but the YouTube channel is Little Red Guitars 2. He covered it. And
nice. Shout out, man.
Someone requested him to do that, and Dentino commented on it and said, "Hey, man, I'm a guitarist for this band, and this is awesome." And he's like, "Oh, dude, like
you should have said."
Thanks for
watching.
Suck,
bro.
That's not how we play it at all, dude.
That's not how you play.
That's not how we play it, dude. Things. Here, I'll send you the tabs real quick. But yeah, that was a great show, dude. Starland never disappoints. The Fillmore, the only time I was there was I was at the Foundry when Bruce was playing with the Weekend Riot upstairs, and that was a good show. It was a really good show.
Dude? They played Game Changer, right?
I'm not sure. They might have, but
I'm almost positive. I think me and Sean went to go see them.
I went to
Game Changer.
I was supposed to go to the TLA to see them play live, and I didn't because I had work. I was like trying to get off and stuff, and like if you go back in the podcast, like maybe I'll clip it and put it in this episode right now. But Bruce was like, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for showing up, dude. Appreciate it. I was like, I'm sorry. Like I have a job. Like
that's hilarious,
dude. I'm watching that guy do the cover. I love the double cut Les Pauls with like P90s, man. Oh god.
More in the world than what you just said.
Are you kidding me?
And I'm not being a prick, but P90s are my least favorite sound, least favorite look. Double cut Les Paul can just eat my ass.
I agree with you.
I used to be that way up until probably like a year ago.
But you listen to different music than I do, and the music that you listen to is perfect for that shit.
Yeah, but everybody listens to different music.
Oh yeah.
You and Neil Young by any chance?
Yeah, huge Neil Young fan.
So that'll do it.
Dude, like honestly, a lot of
Neil
like
Young's sick, dude.
I didn't think you were gonna say that. I was about to fight.
I love just like acoustic work. I think that's my favorite shit. So
you thought I was gonna hate Neil Young?
I thought you were gonna say Neil Young sucks. And I was like,
not. Absolutely not, dude. Absolutely
listen, you said AC/DC's the worst
How
band.
dare you? How well do you know me, man? Well, fuck AC/DC, dude. That
Here he goes,
to
he's
even
going.
mention them
Here
in
we
the
go,
same breath as Neil Young is blasphemous.
Jesus Christ.
Blasphemous. Absolutely blasphemous. How dare you? How dare you?
Oh god.
No, Neil Young's great. I like Neil Young a lot. I think he has some great tunes. He's very, very different.
What about some Silver Bullet Band, bro?
Some what?
Silver Bullet Band, Bob Seger.
Nah, I actually don't know.
What?
Not familiar. Oh, fuck that. That song is way longer than it should be. It really is, though. You think it ends fucking 3 different times.
Dude, I saw Bob Seger with my dad.
Moves, and you're like, what? You still going, huh?
I saw Bob Seger with my dad when I was like 14 years old, and it felt very aggressive.
Was that your first concert?
Do you know I had an opportunity to go see Eric Clapton live, and I rejected.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
I was ignorant. I was young. I was ignorant. I was young.
If someone asked me when I was 14 to see Clapton, I would have been like, I'm playing World of Warcraft. Shut up.
That's exactly what it was, dude. I swear to God.
George,
I won like tickets, and it was like fucking second row, like right up front. My dad was like,
dude, you're
come
not,
on, bro, please. And I'm
like, your dad must have broke his. Imagine you doing that to your kid. Imagine how you'd feel. I'd be like, I hate this.
Oh, I'd tell him to go fuck himself.
Sucks.
I'd be like, I'm going without you. I'm going to tell you how great of a time it was.
Exactly.
George,
but to one up you guys in the biggest way possible, I had tickets to see Rush, and I remember that, and didn't go see Rush. And
no, but the worst thing is, fucking, you offered tickets to me, and I was like, I don't really listen to Rush that much. You did, because you were sick and you knew you couldn't go. And I was like, I don't really listen to them that much. I don't, at the time. And fucking, that's one of the things I kick myself in the ass for all the fucking time. Because then Neil Peart died and the pandemic started, and it fucking sucked.
It's because I didn't see Rush. That's why all that shit happens.
Dude, it's such a shame. Remember that cover I sent you of
just Time Stands Still.
Time Stands Still, bro. That cover's so good.
Just Zach, what was the first concert you went to? Going back to that question,
I'm gonna lower my hand.
First concert I went to was Chicago with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That's badass.
That is
pretty
badass, dude.
Yeah,
I never saw Earth, Wind, and Fire live, but I was working at the museum. The guitar player from Earth, Wind, and Fire was in this wedding cover band, and the director told me that, and I was like, "What?" And I shook his hand. And I was like, "Dude, I appreciate you as a musician and stuff." He's like, "Oh, dude, thank you, I appreciate it." I was like, "Yeah, for sure." But it was not Earth, Wind, and Fire. It was
all right. What was everybody else's first concert?
Mine, and you guys are gonna laugh, but it was Tool.
No, that was my great first concert.
Rad.
No, that's rad as fuck.
And it was also my last concert. It was my first and last concert.
Wait, which show did you go to? Because I went to
Fargo.
I went to the Wells Fargo show, and then that same week I was 10 rows off the stage at Atlantic City.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, I bought the Wells Fargo. Go ahead.
That was on the beach,
no?
You
go.
I bought those Wells Fargo tickets the night.
Zach invited me. I said no.
Concert.
And Atlantic City, wasn't that on the beach?
It was at Boardwalk Hall. It was awesome, dude. It was so fucking.
My buddy went to that.
For me, was my tickets were $150 a piece, and then when I got there, I was looking at the side of the stage, really high up, so I didn't see any visuals. I saw no fucking visuals head on, and it ruined
The Atlantic City show was so much better because the venue was so much. There was not a bad seat in there, but where I was 10 rows off the stage on the floor was perfect. Because I asked my brother-in-law, I was like, "Hey man," I was like, because I got in the queue because it was really hard to get those tickets. I got in the queue and I was like, "Hey dude, we have a chance to get either the best seats we can get, or it's going to be pretty expensive just to have seats." I was like, "How much money are you willing to spend?" He's like, "I don't give a fuck. Just spend whatever." I was like, "Fine, fuck it."
Dude, your wife was so pissed. She's like, "How much did you spend?" You're like, "Oh."
That's what I did with my
don't know.
sister when we went to go see Coheed at the Fillmore. We got there, we had general admission seats, and they were like, "Yeah, you can upgrade to like VIP, like up top."
They
and I
fucking
was like,
always get
"Fuck
you.
yeah!" And
Wait,
I did
Jeff,
that
where is the Fillmore?
in Philly.
I might have. I don't remember if I went to
Dude,
that
the
show.
Fillmore's
It's next to a-
sick, bro.
It's sick.
It's next
dude.
to a bar
It's like the
called,
next like
Mad Rex.
It's like the next what's that? Blue House Rock?
House
some
of
bullshit?
Blues.
House of
House
Blues.
of Blues.
House of
House
Blues.
of Blues.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say that. House of Blues is nothing compared to the Fillmore. I think the Fillmore
Fillmore's
has fantastic
so- like a-
sound.
Well, the Fillmore definitely put the truck under. Like once they
It's like a
brought
nicer
up that venue.
TLA.
It's a very nicer TLA. 100%.
God damn
100%.
it. Fucking.
My first concert was My Chem, The Used, and Alkaline Trio. And on the side stage, like before that concert even happened, I remember hearing Seosin in the distance. As I was like,
Was that a
walking
Taste
up-
of Chaos tour?
No.
No.
Say
Dude,
No.
that sounds. Dude, that's crazy because the Used.
I don't
What
think.
was it? The Used, 30 Seconds to Mars, Seosin, and there was another band that played. It was like a Taste of Chaos tour.
It wasn't
I
Taste of
thought it
Chaos. Three Cheers was hitting like its fucking peak, and they were getting these like huge arena, not an arena, but like they were getting these huge shows. Like it was at Susquehanna, which is now BB&T Pavilion.
BB&T.
But dude, like sold out. We were in the chairs. Dude, it was massive. I got a secondary high. Someone was smoking weed in front of me. I got super high. I was like, 13 years old. I was like,
Nice.
what the fuck? Oh, dude, it was incredible. People were like, dude, there was like actually a person that got like taken out on a stretcher. I guess they were in the pit.
Fuck yeah,
And they
dude.
got
That's
fucking
exactly
taken
what
out,
I
dude.
want.
Dude, that show was wild. I was so hungry coming home. Imagine being 13 years old getting a secondary high. Like, can we please get McDonald's? Can we please get like Burger King? And my
Dude, you sound like a bitch as a 13-year-old, bro. Jesus Christ.
fucking starving.
I think my
dude.
first concert, I can't remember if it was Rise Against, Silverstein, Comeback Kid, If That's
Oh
Today,
my
or
god, dude.
if it was Iron Maiden and Bullet for My Valentine. I can't remember.
Either
One
one
of
is
those
a
two.
fucking home run.
Yeah, that's
One of those two was my favorite. What was
Yeah.
my first and my favorite because just like fucking the Iron Maiden show is weird because they didn't play anything off of any of their old stuff. They played the whole new album in its
Ooh, that's
entirety.
That's weird.
And
That's
when I
weird.
was leaving, the radio stations were literally talking shit about it, and we left early.
Oof. I went to the first time I saw Maiden, I've seen them twice, was on their Somewhere Back in Time tour. So it was all the greatest hits, and that's all they fucking played.
That's
I
so
hate you,
annoying,
Yeah,
dude.
so,
like,
I only got to see their fucking Eddie never came out or anything.
well,
I
like
named
I
my-
mean,
that's,
it's weird because I ended up appreciating that new album later, but I didn't know any of it when they fucking, I'll never understand that. Playing a whole new album in its entirety
well,
and
that's what
not
I'm
playing any
saying
of your old
because
shit.
I remember driving like 3 hours to upstate New York to see Killswitch Engage in this like bumblefuck warehouse with concrete floors and shit. And like, like Jesse was back in the band in a sense, like Howard's completely gone, but they played like their newest album and most of its entirety. I'm like, no, like, are you not going to
Howard's
play?
my
Like,
favorite, dude.
Me too, dude. Howard fucking kills it, dude. Like every time. I get it.
Oh,
I
dude.
get it. Like you're not gonna play that album, but like go before that and play
You
some
have
of those
to.
songs.
You have to.
But they
because
didn't.
nobody knew
They just
Killswitch
promoted the new
Engage
album.
until fucking
We were
that
so
album.
blown. We were so blown away. I was like, dude, I don't know any of these songs at all. I think
That
hold
sucks.
on, I'm gonna
I,
fucking-
it's such a shitty experience, isn't it, George?
They-
Like, to
they
hear,
played
like, a
End of
whole
a
new
Heartache.
album in its entirety. And you're like,
I know,
I
dude.
came to see at least a couple different ones. I would have been happy if they played their whole entire album and just fucking encore with the Trooper. I would have been happy. They didn't do that.
They played End of
You know?
the End of a Heartache, which was great and stuff. But I was like, damn, dude, like I only knew like 3 songs that you guys played.
Yeah, it's a
Like-
shitty experience when you go to a show and you're expecting something and
So what do we expect for new music? Because we have so many songs written in general, and I think it's great that we're gonna be able to bring that to our discography in the near future. But I think a lot of the stuff that we're writing now is pretty next level, in my opinion.
Well, I'll start with this. Like, I was like, when we started getting back into it, I was like, this will be easy because like we already have so much laid out foundation, stuff we've already agreed upon in the past. I was like, this is gonna fly, and like I didn't expect me to start writing anything, but now I'm like writing like crazy, so it's gonna be like a 15-song album.
good.
That's not a bad thing.
It's fine with me. It gets us out of the
But
contract.
like I just keep writing like, and that's assuming you guys like it, obviously. But like, I have all these really unbound, like just new ideas, and I just like keep throwing them out, and like we use some, we won't use some, but like at first I was like, all right, cool, 8 songs and we're done, and now I want this to be like a more of an involved project than I originally thought. I'm just having so much fun like laying ideas out there, and it'd be cool if, I mean, like we all get together and just piece things together and shit. That would be fun eventually, you know. I just can't stop.
And we're killing
and
on
if you guys
Spotify.
have anything too, I want to hear. Yeah, Spotify sounds great. And then like whatever you guys have also, I mean, I would love to add to that. Like that would be cool to start writing in person. That'd be crazy.
I told Kevin before we started this podcast, I was like, dude, we're like at 17,000, almost 18,000 listens for Anxious Racing. I guarantee you it's going to hit 20,000 by Monday. I guarantee it.
So how does it keep going up? Is it just the play? Like, are you still getting views on your thing?
I think it's just a playlist at this point.
That was the one big one, was that video. But I don't know if you saw our Twitter recently, but there have been other bands that have massive playlists, like that have more numbers than me. I think my biggest number is, for what the song we have in it, is like almost 4,000 likes. This band has almost 7,000 likes, so, which doesn't have that many artists, but like they put us on it, and it's like, dude, it's just growing. Like people are starting to acknowledge Poeta as it is, and they're like, holy shit, this is good music. I'm like, I know, been around forever. Who just retweeted us? You did. Okay. I was like, wait, what? But
yeah, I've been lacking on that harshly. So
it's not lacking. It's just
dude,
this industry. Twitter. This industry is so different, dude. Like when we went to launch, like, which was a thing. Like I talked about this with Kevin like multiple times. We almost got on a significant tour with this one band that had like a bunch of plays, and it would have been great. But that was through social media engagement. And then the next year, it was like, oh, it matters about Spotify plays. I'm like, what the fuck? That's a thing?